Once Upon a Tale.
Hello there, fellow listeners. Welcome to Once Upon a Tale. Doesn't matter who you are, just sit back, relax, and let us discover some amazing folk stories and myths. Tales have long been part of Vietnamese culture and illustrate how these people see life. With the first episode of the series, we will show how Vietnamese people define nature with the tale of Sơn Tinh and Thủy Tinh, origin of Vietnam's monsoon rains. A long time ago, when Vietnam was young, the land was ruled by a powerful king named Hùng Vương. Throughout the kingdom, he was known as a strong ruler, yet his heart melts dearly for his beautiful daughter My Nương. With the grace of a willow, the voice of a nightingale, and beauty as pure as lotus blossom, great kings and brave men from across the land, near or far, came to seek My Nương hand for marriage. Day by day, knights, warriors, princes, and kings lined up at the palace gates, bringing valuable gifts and proclaiming their wealth and power. One day, when nearly all gentlemen in the empire had been turned away by the king, two handsome young noblemen stood before him, both asking for the prince's hand. The first man introduced himself to the king with a calm, sincere, and gentle voice. "I am Sơn Tinh, lord of the mountains. My realm contains the steepest hills and slopes, the deepest jungles, rugged cliffs, mighty waterfalls, and flowing streams. The fiercest to the most timid beasts are at my command. My palace gates contain the rarest and most delicious fruits and are adorned with the loveliest and fragrant flowers. If I so desire, all jades, emeralds, golds, and unimaginable treasures of the mountains will be laid at my feet. Should I be granted your daughter's hand in marriage, she shall sleep upon a bed of jasmine and orchids, and I promise her eternal happiness." With a gentle bow, he stepped back. In a bold, loud, and firm voice, the other nobleman took his turn and presented himself to the king. "I am Thủy Tinh, lord of the seas. I reign over the underwater realm, a kingdom far more vast than the highlands. Precious pearls, rare corals, and treasures lost by sailors at sea are mine. All the creatures in the oceans, great or small, bow before me. The mighty whale sings at my command, while the fierce sharks obey me when I beckon. I can command the winds to wail and spin, and make the waters crash against the shores, or toss ships that sail amidst my boundary. My home is a palace made of crystal, more beautiful than any human eye has ever set sight. But if you allow me to marry your daughter, all these shall be hers. She shall sleep inside a mother-of-pearl shell and reign by my side as queen of the seas forever." With confidence, he bowed and stepped back. With careful inquiry and examination, the king decided to hold a contest in which whoever will win will be granted the honor of marrying his daughter. He decided to send them both away, telling them that whoever turned up the next day, bringing the most valuable wedding gifts, would win My Nương hand for marriage. Sơn Tinh rushed back to the mountains and ordered his servants to gather all the kingdom's precious jewels, the most beautiful birds, the rarest flowers, and delicious fruits. Thủy Tinh likewise hurried home to his palace under the sea and commanded his servants to collect all of the kingdom's most dazzling pearls and colorful corals. He gathered the most beautiful fishes in the sea to delight Princess My Nương. Both men prepared their precious presents and waited for the break of dawn. Just before the sun rose next morning, Sơn Tinh, lord of the mountains, and 100 servants had already reached the palace gates. Impressed and satisfied, the king handed his daughter to the mighty young man. When Thủy Tinh, lord of the seas, showed up with his gifts, Realizing what had happened, he could not accept his defeat. He sought to challenge Sơn Tinh to a contest of strength to prove who is worthy to take Mị Nương hand. When Sơn Tinh refused, the enraged Thủy Tinh drew out his sword and commanded to seize the princess. To protect his precious bride, the Lord of Mountains drew his sword as well and called out to all the beasts of the highlands to come down and fight with him. Not to be outdone, Thủy Tinh shouted to the oceans and ordered all great and small creatures to come out of the waters and be his warriors. The fierce battle then began. With Thủy Tinh command, winds began to howl and bend the trees to the ground. The ocean waves crashed against the rocky shore and began to rise. With fury so intense, the Lord of the Sea sent slashing rains over the skies. Angry winds blew away the huts, while the overflowing oceans washed away the rice fields and drowned innocent villagers. Sơn Tinh hurled down lightning bolts at the pursuing Lord of the Seas. He commanded the enormous trees from the mountains to uproot themselves and roll down towards the enemy. Soon, the scared villagers fled for their lives. The battle between the two powerful lords raged for weeks. However, none of them gained victory. Finally, Sơn Tinh used all his magical powers and commanded the mountains to rise higher so that no water could reach its top. After days of attempts to raise the water and overcome his rival, Sơn Tinh finally retreated from the mountains and returned to the sea. With anger, he vowed never to end the battle. He returns at the same time every year, along with heavy rains, mighty winds, and crashing waves. The battle renews and the villagers once again scurry for safety. And every year, as he fails to win Mị Nương, he retreats to the sea. Since then, it has become a never-ending cycle. Today, when the monsoon rains arrive every June of the year, demonstrating the Lord of the Sea's fury, carelessness, and disregard, the Vietnamese people know Thủy Tinh is once again pursuing the victory he can never obtain. And with that, our second episode of Once Upon a Tale has come to an end. Dear our beloved listeners, make sure to follow us on Spotify if you want to tune in to more stories from Once Upon a Tale. For now, goodbye and see you again.